Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn, Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz, Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. We need a sea change, and we need it now. This is the phrase that I heard at a recent economic development conference, and it was uttered with great emphasis and emotion by a researcher who is well-respected and has been contracted to talk to people all over the state and, of course, examine the numbers as well. And everybody was listening, and this is, in fact, what he said. We are not competitive. We are not competitive. The leaders in the respective communities across the entire state of Nebraska say this. We needed sea change. A sea change. That's major. And we need it now. This is an incredible phrase. And we're in an incredible moment here in the state of Nebraska where people go, I don't know what else to do. You know, 2 years ago, you probably read about this, you know a little bit about it, but one of the scholars, this was the smartest or the best test scores she took here across the entire state of Nebraska, all these different winners of the ACT. We all know about that test. We all took that test at one time. And she took the test recently. Now, we're going back to 23, by the way. And she was the highest scoring student in the entire state. So they brought her in, and there were a couple other people that came with her, and they had the governor there and some other people, journalists and a variety of staffers and so on with the government. And she said, after thanking everybody for the award and so on, it was very nice and all that, she said, here's the thing, she says, I'm not super inspired. This is her phrase. I'm not super inspired to stay in Nebraska. In fact, I think Nebraska should be more like Minneapolis. That's precisely what she said. She had our entire state kind of compared it to the Metroplex there in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. She said, I think we all should really be more like the way they are in Minneapolis. So thanks very much, but I won't be back. Yeah. Now this was a dead quiet moment. And there were a lot of people that were sitting in their chairs, scratching their heads saying, if we can't attract and keep a person like that in our state, what are we going to do as we go into the future and we get other people who don't have those kinds of scores and don't have that kind of opportunity and potential in front of them and so on? What are we going to do with all these kids, all these people? If she's going to leave, they're going to leave. Now let's talk about the statistics, shall we? Let's just get right down to it, please. All right? Let's talk about workers. Now I realize that there's a whole issue with laborers and manufacturing workers. Very difficult to get them. Very difficult to get them to come in and stay and so on. And you have young professionals, all right? Two different categories, and you know what they all mean, so I won't belabor all that. But let's just talk about, we'll call it workers at this point in time, all right? We'll generalize a little bit. The total number of new workers, now I'm not just talking about the people who've been around and they're working there and they come every day and all that. We're talking about new. The demand for new workers in the state of Nebraska, 45,000 young people, young workers need to be either here in Nebraska or come here or get here or whatever, but to populate and utilize and leverage all the things that we have, all the company manufacturers. Got a big thing coming up here about the state's manufacturers. I'm sure all of them would say we can't get enough people to apply for jobs, and people that are skilled enough or can be trained and so on and so forth. And we have good benefit packages. We pay them competitively. We don't know what else to do, right? 45,000 of them is what we need this year. Out of that 45,000, we already have 20,400. All right, just keep your eye on those numbers. Total demand for new workers, 45,000. We've already accumulated, or we've got 20,400 new workers. Well, seems like a big gap, right? So what this means, here's our deficit. Deficit's not a good word. You never want to hear that word bandied around. You know, you're talking about money and deficits and so on, that kind of thing. Well, we're talking now about workers. We have a deficit of workers. So the companies themselves, they can't do their job. They can't attract more clients. They can't boost their capacity and productivity. They can't get bigger. They're lucky to just stay right here. They're going to get smaller. So the deficit of annual workers in the state of Nebraska right now is 24,600. So we have 20,000, but we're missing 24,600. Not so good, right? Not so good. The growth potential, right? I mean, you don't need me to tell you this, is going to be extremely limited. We can't grow. If we can't grow, what are we going to do? Well, might have to raise taxes because we have to do all this with the hospitals and the roads and all the other things, the things we have to do. The governor has to take care of a lot of responsibilities, associations, groups, people that need help, all that, right? And since we don't have enough people coming into the state and not enough people working and generating 4, 5, 6 figures and paying their taxes, and if we don't have that, we don't have gross domestic product, GDP, right? We're not there. We're not there. And this is exactly how it's been in Nebraska for a number of years. And people at this point are so burned out. I'm talking about legislators, mayors. Listen to me now. This is what they go. Well, I don't know. We fixed up a little place down on town, but we don't know what else to do. We don't know why they don't come. We don't know why they leave. They just do. There isn't anything we can do. I don't know what else to do. This is how we talk to each other. And so, boom, right back in the unicameral. Got to raise the taxes, got to be tax reform, it's got to go up. Got to go up. The mayor's or the governor's going, pretty tough to be popular when you're constantly raising taxes and also being compassionate and empathetic about the different groups and associations that need help. Yeah. This is a situation, and like I said before, now this is what's really interesting. If economic developers, mayors, and city council, we'll go with those people, right? By the way, the economic development director, whom I interviewed a little over a year ago, right here on this program, he's resigned, he's left, right? There since 2002, and Al Wenstrand began, and Richard Bear, and this lady named Cindy, and so on, goes all the way up. Every 2-year period, 2.5, they're gone. They're gone. Think about this. This is a key consideration of our entire state, economic development. I mean, it's huge, right? And they dole out money. There's grants here, grants there, grants here, grants there. But if you ask them, who are we trying to attract to this particular state? What do they like? What do they want? I mean, what do we have to offer them? Here's the answer. We don't know. We don't know. We're happy if anybody comes. We don't know how to get to them. We don't know what to say. We don't know who they are. That's what it comes down to. Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So we don't have to go crazy with more and more taxes, but we haven't figured out who they are. So do we conduct research? I don't know. I guess so. We got this research right here, although it doesn't go into any of the psychology or any of the things they're thinking about or in terms of their motives. I mean, we got demographic information, but we don't have psychographic information, right? We don't know what their drives are. We don't know why they don't want to come or remain in the state of Nebraska. We don't know. No matter how many times I knock on their door and say, I know, I have the information. I've done focus groups. I've got some deep data, highly detailed. And it segments the people in our state and in the entire United States of America, kind of breaks them down into real key, understandable segments. And there's at least, as a result of that exercise, there's at least 50 million young workers. That's about 38% of the entire population in our entire country. 38%. That's a big number. They're all there. They're just graduating from college and so on, trying to figure out what to do, where to go, what to be, Do you know that even Willa Cather, the great poetess, she said, well, Nebraska's very good, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change. It's Nebraska, right? And this is kind of the vibe that I get when I conducted a focus group with young people. And they said, we love that it's conservative, people like each other, they're good, they're family oriented and so on. But that doesn't grow your market opportunity. That doesn't increase sales out there. In fact, they're shriveling, right? They're shriveling. It's very interesting. This could go on and on and on because again and again and again, I have brought this data and this information to the influencers, as I said before, mayors, city councils, people like that, and say, here, look at this. Here's who these people are. You've got traditionalists, kind of what we call heartlanders. Everybody knows that. Those are very prominent in the state of Nebraska. And then after that, we'll call them the modernists. The modernists. These are people mostly in the insurance industry and financial wealth management and so on, construction. The more buildings and the more sidewalks there are, the more roads there are, the better. That's their mentality. That's what it's all about. Just keep putting buildings down and sidewalks and concrete and get people in those offices. Bam, that's it. That's all there is. There's nothing more to it than that. And then we have this third segment, all right? This third interesting segment of people that are more interested in self-actualization than building yet another concrete building just over there, whatever that is. But the bottom line is these people want to be as good as they can be. Now, this is an interesting theory. A lot of people go, I don't know what the heck he's talking about, right? Well, these people over here and these people over here, they're going, now we're talking, right? At least this guy's saying something that makes sense to me because everything else everybody does that. That's the other thing, this is a marketing period, right? Nebraska has to learn how to be a marketing organization. What did Peter Drucker say? Way back in the mid-90s, he said, marketing and innovation are the only two things that matter. Are you hearing me? Those are the only two things that matter. Everything else is an expense. But marketing and innovation, that's how you move it. That's what happens. So, I'm sitting here thinking about innovation and I'm thinking about all the young people and you talk to them and they say, like I said, I love the family and the community and they're nice people and they have good schools and nice libraries and so on, but they just don't innovate, Lynn. They don't innovate. They don't do anything new. I don't know why. They just want to copy other people or just do the same. I don't know. I don't know why they're that way, but they are that way and I'm not going to change them. And so that's the end of the dialogue, right? You talk to people in Nebraska City, Beatrice, Fairbury, Blair, everything but Norfolk, by the way. Everything but them. But everybody's the same way. We don't really want to change. Well, if you don't change, then more and more people will be older people, and fewer and fewer people will be younger people. So where does that leave us? I mean, the employers, they need young people to help them do the job and work and all that. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. And they also want something downtown, kind of cool, and bars and restaurants and art galleries and places like that. That's what young people want and know. Yeah, you're right, I guess. I don't know. But we just, this is how we are. We just want to be like we are. We don't want to change. We think this is nice as it is. Yes, it's getting a little smaller every year, but in general, we really like it here, and we don't want to change much. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why your taxes are going to go up and up and up. Everyone's going to argue and yell about it and da-da-da-da-da. But in the end, there's got to be enough money to cover all the responsibilities there in the state of Nebraska. It's unbelievable and it's very sad because these people that we're talking about need to embrace new ideas, but they just can't get their hands around it. Very sad. By the way, the innovation piece, very interesting. 91% of all young people, I've said this before in this show, 91%, when they're out looking for a job, somebody says, what's important to you? 91% of those people that we're sitting here and talking about right now say that being in an innovative company, a company that innovates, company that creates new products and services, an active culture, da-da-da-da-da, not afraid to try new things, experiment a little bit. Yeah. That's what we want. 91% of them said that's what we want. That's what we want. But if you take a look, all 50 states, and you go for the innovation rankings and all that, who's most innovative, blah, 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 you get all the way down to 37% for Nebraska. We're near the very bottom. 37%. That's the ranking that our state gets from internally and externally. How about Nebraska? Do they innovate? Give us a number. 150? What do you think? 37. So I mean, just think about this. Just absorb this. They are the buyers. We're talking about 50 million young people. Somebody's got to get on the phone. Somebody's going to send them an email, whatever it is, and they're going to convince these people. And they're going to say, no change here. Your family's going to be safe. The library is really cool. Right? When was the last time you guys rolled out some new products and services? Oh, I don't know. I think that was maybe 8 or 10 years ago. We don't do that, see? Even we have learned that innovation is so extremely important. Extremely important. You should have 2 or 3 initiatives going on simultaneously. Anyway, I'm going to get right back to that in just a minute. Speaking about simultaneously, well, let's talk about Supermind. Supermind is a new kind of organization in the Nebraska area. It consists of, and this is an event, we're talking about group membership, getting it together. It's not a standard mixer per se. It is a way for business-oriented people and personal growth-oriented people to come together and understand that they are deeply entwined, whether they know or not. Many business leaders are doing okay in sales, but they go home and they're sad, they're unhappy, they're not reaching their goals. Nobody's happy. So it's a very big deal. Supermind is all about blending those two opposites into a newly happy mindset about their career and their ability to inject joy and happiness and compassion into their culture. Absolutely. Supermind is a unique kind of organization now. This is for some of the most, how do I say it, self-aware. This is one of my favorite phrases. I don't want to say intelligent, because some people will take that wrong and get all uptight about it. But I'm telling you that this is a way think about it this way. You know that there's a left brain and a right brain in operating at all times, right? They think differently, right? The right brain thinks about vision and concepts and abstract ideas, creativity and all that. Then you have the left brain that's very analytical, very specific, very precise, mechanical. Over here, conceptual, abstract, as I mentioned. So we want people like that to come together. We want it's really a whole brain experience. But I'm guaranteeing you after 1 month or 2 of attendance, you're going to meet people, by the way, that you never knew before. And you're going to feel a little, when you walk out of right now you go, well, I don't know, it was okay. And I met a couple guys. They're nice guys. I don't know if I'll chat with them down the road. But that's not how it's going to be. You're going to say, I meet these people at Supermind and they plant these ideas inside of my brain. I've never thought of them before this way. And it just seems like the whole room is buzzing. There's some kind of energy. There's a great facilitator and speakers and different ideas and so on. They're going to be bounced off of everybody. Very confidential, very intense, but also upbeat and kind of funny and so on. So this is going to be addictive, right? So if you want to be part of the Supermind thing, by the way, they are a sponsor, obviously, for WowBiz Nebraska, and we thank them so much because this is what I would like to call high-level thinking, right? Thought leadership is an even better word. But if you're a member of Supermind, it's not just going to be thought leadership, it's going to be action leadership, right? Where your heart and soul, we'll call it heart and soul leadership. You want to call it that? Think about that word. Think about that phrase, that general idea. I'd never really thought about anything like that, We want to unleash your potential. We want to help you identify your potential. I don't care where you're at in your career, beginning, middle, end, doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're 22 or 90, doesn't matter to me. Everybody has their own path, their own vision, their own concept of who they are and who they should be. You go off by yourself and you might be unhappy about where you've been, what you've done, where you're going, right? You don't know. You need somebody nearby you can trust. And that, of course, is very, very much one of the values, of course, part of the Supermind aesthetic and the way it's operated. So I just want to tell you one more time, Supermind, look it up, Supermind, that's right. And you will learn, I'm going to be clever now, you'll learn how to get supercharged, all right, at Supermind. We'll just go ahead and utilize that because you want to be supercharged, but you're all over the place, you know. You've got so many things to get done and so many people you got to call back and the emails and clients are unhappy and employees are threatening to quit and it goes on and on. Help me. Help me. Well, Supermind will help you. Supermind will help you. That's right. Outstanding organization. Don't hesitate. Look them up on the web. You'll see what Supermind is all about. And they've done a wonderful job supervising and supporting us here today. WowBiz Nebraska, I'm Lynn Hinderaker. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, listen, when I'm out there chatting with everybody, thank you for sticking with us here. When I'm out there talking with people, I just have to insert this because there's even more to talk about with Nebraska and the issues and the problems and what we have to do and how we can get it done. I'm even going to talk to you about something you're not going to believe. You're going to call, hey, look at this crazy guy. This is how it's going to be in the next few minutes. But we're going to talk about advertising right now. You know, if you're going to create an ad, I see a lot of them. I consciously collect them. I take a look at them. I analyze them. I try to imagine what the boss is like, why did he allow that to happen, etc. Well, one of the things you want to do with your brand is you want to be able to create something that nobody else can create, right? And I'm going to show you a billboard here. This is rather large, so you'll be able to see it on camera. This is for one of the better known dry cleaners in town and laundry operations. You've known that. I'm going to lift it right now. But you're going to see very quickly two things going on, right? You take a look at this. This is an incredible ad. This went up on a 14 by 48 billboard in downtown Omaha, just as you're cruising from I-80 East right into downtown 480. And right there was a big billboard. I want to think it was $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And this is what you saw on the billboard, and sales skyrocketed because it was two things were clear. First of all, you understood what they were recommending or suggesting, which is have a good time. Live with passion. Live with passion. Enjoy your life. And if you're eating somewhere or snacking somewhere, try to let somebody else take a bite of your food. That's fine. That's just, we're hanging out. We're having a good time. It's young. It's a very important consideration from a demographic point of view. But obviously the word passion, all right, rhymes with fashion. You couldn't get away with that. Joe's fashion, Joe's cleaners. You couldn't pull that off. So this is one of those incredible ads, and there are many of them, you'll see, but far, maybe 10% of all ads you'll look at every single day have the ability to link their brand hard and clear to a key verb or a key concept that's part of the overall, the image or the text, whatever, doesn't matter, but passion and fashion. There are a lot of people that care about passion. A lot of people care about fashion. This particular brand pulls them together. It's incredible. Incredible. One of the better ads you'll ever see anywhere. Now listen, as we wrap up WowBiz Nebraska, I want to show you a couple of things real quick. There's a lot of discussion on TV, as you probably know, about third party. People are unhappy. They don't like the Democrats. They don't like the Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's serious people talking about forming a new third party, particularly to serve the 20 and 30-year-olds, that group of people in America, which is a lot of people, millions and millions. We came up with a name, a word, I'm going to take a sip here, that we think is a perfect name for a third party here in America, and it starts right here in Nebraska, and the word is urban natural. You may have heard that word before on this particular show. We think it's a very interesting convergent words, right? Fusionary words, where you take two opposites, in this case, urban and rural, and you pull them together into one word, and of course this one has an N, which is kind of a Nebraska hinge, or maybe it's a natural hinge, I'm not sure, we'll see. But People are shaking their heads going, it didn't occur to me. I would have never even discussed seriously a third political party in America. But I must admit, you've pulled together two massive demographic sectors of our economy and our culture, and you brought them together and suggested and hinted at some qualities that I don't hear anybody talking about, right? But certainly the natural part of urban natural, implies sustainability and the environmental movement and so on. It's very important, especially younger people. Of course, urban is what dominates our entire country here in terms of civilization or population. So urban natural, think about this. This is the first time you're going to hear it right now. Somebody steps up and says, we could have a third party, a third political party. It could be named urban natural. I think there's a lot of people out there that would find it intriguing because they're turned off by both Democrat and Republican parties. Very interesting word. This particular booklet's called Urban Natural America. I find it very, very interesting. I think there should be some seminars and groups and people talking about what does it really mean? What could it mean? Who in Washington, D.C. would find this fascinating? I don't know for sure, but I'm going to find out. And if you'd like to chat with me further about this third-party idea, this urban natural idea, I'd love to hear from you. Just simply send me something, lynn@newbraska.com. Lynn at N-E-W-B-R-A-S-K-A, lynn@newbraska.com. Let's talk about urban naturalism as a way to pull our entire country together for the first time in many, many years. All right. Thank you so very much for watching our show here. Another exciting and educative show. I'm Lynn Hinderaker with WowBiz Nebraska. I will see you soon. Come on back and take a look the next time. Take a peek at what we're looking at right now. You'll appreciate it. You'll be a better executive as a result. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.